Proverbs chapter 31, starting at verse 10. And the word of God says, "Who can find a capable wife? Her value far exceeds the finest jewels. Her husband has full confidence in her. As a result, he lacks nothing of value. She will bring good to him, never evil, every day of her life. She seeks out wool and flax, working with eager hands. She is like a sea-going ship that brings her food from far away. She rises while it is still night, preparing meals for her family and providing for her women servants. She evaluates a field and purchases it. From the proceeds, she plants a vineyard. She clothes herself with fortitude and fortifies her arms with strength. She is confident that her profits are sufficient. Her lamp does not go out at night. She works with her own hands on her clothes. Her hands work the sewing spindle. She reaches out to the poor, opening her hands to those in need. She is unafraid of winter's effect on her household, because all of them are warmly clothed. She creates her own bedding, using fine linen and violet cloth. Her husband is well known. He sits among the leaders of the land. She designs and sells linen garments, supplying accessories to clothiers. Strength and dignity are her garments. She smiles about the future. She speaks wisely, teaching with gracious love. She looks discreetly to the affairs of her household, and she is never lazy. Her children stand up and encourage her, as does her husband who praises her. Many women have done wonderful things, he says, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty fades, but a woman who fears the Lord will be praised. Reward her for her work. Let her actions result in public praise." Hallelujah. Amen. Praise the Lord.
Amen.
I'm speaking on the subject, the architect of love. The architect of love. Amen.
Amen.
You know, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, that usually in the hierarchy of power, whether it be in a household or in business or in government, usually, it's the second person in command that has the most authority and power. It is usually the person that is second in command as the decree comes down from the top. It is usually the person that is second command that dissimulates or who puts that plan into action. Whenever you see the title of the Deputy Attorney General or the Deputy Secretary of State, it is not the Secretary of State or the Deputy Attorney or the Attorney General that's making all the decisions. It's usually the deputy. And I'm putting that in contrast to the woman, because it is often said that the woman is the backbone of the man. But when you think about it, without the backbone, the man can't stand up, can he? Without the backbone, there's not the nutrition that flows through the spinal cord that gives nurture and nourishment to the rest of the body. But we overlook this simple fact: the woman being the backbone of the man is the reason why the man can stand anyway. The perspective I want to speak to you today about this here on Mother's Day is from my own experience with my mother. My experience was a little bit different. Maybe it was similar to yours. But when I was growing up, observing my mother, I saw a woman that was fearless. I saw a woman who did not take no for an answer. and I saw a woman who was a trailblazer. Was dinner ready every day? Yes, it was. Was the laundry and the clothes cleaned and all those things? Yes, it was. But at the same time, while she was doing the work of a wife at home, was she fiercely independent? Of course she was. She owned her own record label. She owned her own music band. She toured on her own without any executive help from any major labels. She was the breadwinner in our family. Amen. She was the one and the reason why we were able to move up out of the hood and move into a neighborhood where we were the first African-American family in that entire neighborhood because of my mother. And my father supported her. My father was not worried or bothered by the strength of my mother. But with that being said, I want you to also notice this woman in Proverbs 31. She was a businesswoman. But at the same time, she was a woman who took care of her household. So there is no conflict between being able to provide for our household and also be the caretaker of that household. But today we are led to believe that to clean house and to do laundry and to do dishes is a dirty word.
Yeah.
Well, don't you say that outside of this church. You know, and God, yeah, praise God, when my wife's not home, I wash the dishes, I cook, I clean. There's a balance. You know, I can't wait, you know, and let the dishes pile up and say when she gets home, she'll do it, right? You know, amen. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with being a good businesswoman and a good caretaker of the house. Hallelujah. When a child is growing up, the first experience that child has with love is through the parents. Primarily, the father is the breadwinner. Most of the time, he's the one going out, he's working. There's not a lot of, well, at least in my household, there wasn't a lot of I love yous and hugs from my father. But the I love yous and the hugs and the nourishment and the care came from my mother. And the archetype of love in any human being's life is usually going to be the mother. It is when we learn what love is about, we learn it through the eyes of a mother. And mothers, I'm speaking to you right now, and I want you to understand that when you have a child, that child's first experience with love is going to be with you. And how he or she experiences that love will dictate how they love when they are in a relationship. So you mothers, as the archetype of love, that symbol of love, be careful of how you are loving your children. Love does not always mean to give and always to give. Sometimes it means to refrain. Sometimes it means to discipline. Sometimes it means to bring tears to that child's eyes, knowing that in the end, rebuke is better than open love. Sometimes rebuke is better than even nourishment, because it is rebuke that God says when a child is raised and old enough, it will not depart from that. So mothers, remember, as you are rearing that child, as you are raising that child, the love that you are using to shape that child will last with that child forever. And when that child goes into a marriage and goes into a relationship, subconsciously, that child will shape that marriage based on the love that you gave it as a child. That is the job of a mother, to raise a child, to nourish a child. A father does many things, and I'll talk about it in a minute, but the work of a mother is like no other. Because it is the mother that homes, it is the mother that shapes. It is the mother that disciplines, and is the mother who inevitably forges that child and brings them into adulthood. But I want to go a little deeper. If I can find my Bible. In the Garden of Eden, and using motherhood as an example, in the Garden of Eden, God created Adam in Genesis. And God said, it is not good for the man to be alone, so I will create for him a help meet. In other words, a helper. It was not until after the fall that this word was used called a succor. And a succor means someone who is a helper in times of trouble. Remember, before the fall, there was no trouble.
Yeah.
After the fall, succor. This is a woman or a helpmeet who helps in times of distress, in times of trouble. And that is a helpmeet. The man was given the job to cultivate. He was given the job, given dominion to cultivate the earth. You are to name the beast of the field, and after you have named the beast of the field, now you are to cultivate the garden. But God said, something's not right. We have to create for him a suitable helpmeet. So God created woman, and when God saw woman, he says, this is very good. The reason this is very good is not because of what Adam saw when he saw Eve, right? He was like, whoa, man. God was like, right, woman. Amen. But the reason why it was good is because not just in the physical does a woman conceive, but also when it comes to everything in life pertaining to a woman, it is the woman that conceives ideas. It is the man that receives the message from God. He receives the mandate from God as the head. But when he shares that vision with the woman, she is the one that conceives it. And it is the woman who has the ability and the capacity, once that vision is conceived, to give birth to it. Is it a mystery to you that when Jesus was resurrected, it was women that went to the tomb? That it is the women that were first able to conceive the idea that there is a risen Christ? That if the men who knew that he had risen, but they could not conceive it? Okay, that might be over your head. Amen. Was it not Deborah who spoke to Barak and told Barak that you are to go to Sisera and you will overcome him? But Barak said, if you do not go, Deborah, I will not go. Why? Because he knew that Deborah could conceive, not only conceived it, but she's the one that could bring it and birth it and bring it to pass.
Amen.
Women, if you have ever been confused about your role in society or the importance of the role you play in this world, let me settle it now. Without you, no ideas can come to pass. Without you, nothing can be birthed on this earth, in the spirit or in the physical.
Praise God.
It is the hands and the mind of a woman that anything that God gives you, rain, hail, sleet, or snow. Think about it, woman. God will give you an assignment no matter how difficult it is, no matter how hard it is. You hold on to that thing until it gives birth. Whereas men, we totter. Men, we fail. Men, we catch the vision, and then it's 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. We let it go. We forget about it.
Right.
We get sidetracked. But a woman, she will hold on to the vision.
That's right.
until it gives birth.
Yep.
Every powerful man of God who receives a vision from God, there's always a woman to give birth to it.
Amen.
Elijah and the Shunammite woman. Why do you think he kept passing by that house until she said, I need to make a room for this man of God. And when she did, God was able to give birth. Oh, hallelujah. Was it not Abigail who said to David, who brought David back to his senses? He was on his way to kill her husband, to kill this foolish man, and he forgot who he was. And it was this woman of discernment, Abigail, who stopped him in his tracks and said, my king, my anointed one. And he remembered who he was. Oh, hallelujah. Women, do you know what is inside of you? Do you know what God has given you? It is not just a physical or a biological way of giving birth. He gives you the capacity to give birth in the spirit. He gives you the capacity to give birth to concepts and ideas that without you will never come to pass. And we can go through the Bible, or we can go down the line, Rahab, we can go down the line, Sarah, Rebecca, all these women who gave birth to the men who became our forefathers. Look at the nourishment of Rebecca when she was nourishing Jacob. Did she love Esau? Yes, she loved Esau. But she loved Jacob. And it was her nourishing of Jacob, loving him, despite of the fact that he was the second born. I know why Isaac loved him, because he was the first. Why he loved Esau, because he was the firstborn. So Isaac, listen, watch this. Isaac, he paid more attention to the firstborn, which was Esau. But within Rebecca, in her spirit, she knew Jacob was the one. She knew within herself. So she nourished him. She protected him. She took care of him. And when Esau wanted to kill his brother, she said, go to your uncle. And he went off to his uncle. There is something inside of a mother, there is something inside of a woman that she can see that we cannot see. There is an intuition that God has given women that he has not given us. That you have the capacity to bring things to pass that we as men cannot do. So this is my charge to you. Women, don't shrink.
Praise God.
Behind your husband.
Amen.
Don't shrink.
Amen. Thank you, Lord.
Because God has made man the head and you underneath him. He did it for a reason. Do not shrink because you may feel that because you're a woman, you can't accomplish certain things and do certain things. That is a lie from the pit of hell. God looked at man, and if man was enough, he would have said, this is very good, but he didn't. He said, this is not right.
Praise you, Lord.
And he created woman.
That's right.
Out of the insufficiencies of man, he created woman. And when he saw them together, side by side, he said, this is very good.
Yeah.
This is very good.
Glory be to God.
Because now I have someone to cultivate, but I also have someone to give birth. I have someone that can conceive the vision, but once she gives birth to the vision, now I have the man who can cultivate the vision. Oh, you don't see it. If you want to make your household work, if you want to make your marriage work, allow the vision God gave you, man. Allow your wife to catch that vision. And once she catches that vision, she's going to give birth. She's going to give birth. And once she gives birth to the vision, all you have to do is cultivate, nourish it, cultivate the vision and allow it to grow.
Thank you, Jesus.
As you guys work the vision of God
Amen.
together
Amen.
as a unit.
Teach the
You
word,
have
brother.
one who is a seed, the woman, she holds the seed, she conceives the seed begins to germinate and to go forth, she gives birth, and now the man has to cultivate.
Yes.
Amen.
And men, if you want to know what your job is, it is to cultivate your wife.
Oh,
Cultivate your wife, her gifts, her talents, her ability, her dreams. Cultivate her.
Yes.
Nourish her with your hands as a farmer cultivates the earth, as a farmer waters the land and causes new growth. Cause new growth in your wife. Cause new growth to happen in your marriage. Cause new growth to sprout and to break forth.
Yes, Lord.
Because the thing that has not come to pass in your marriage, in your relationship, is still in the birth canal. Waiting to come forth.
Yeah.
Waiting to come forth. And I'll correct myself. I said that nothing in the spirit realm can happen without woman. It can. Right? Men have the ability to do it. We've seen it all throughout the Bible. But when you have man and woman,
Yeah.
what does the Bible say? 1,000,
Yeah.
2, 10,000?
That's right.
When you have a man and a woman working in duality, like Deborah and Barak, when you have men and women working in duality, you have a conceiver and a cultivator working side by side.
Powerful. Praise
There's
you.
nothing that will be able to stop. But we have to know our place. We have to know our position. If the woman is trying to be the man and the man is trying to take the place of the woman, it won't work. No matter how great it sounds in the secular world, independent women and independence and all that, that's great. But in the house of God, there's order.
Yes.
And when things are in order, things flow, things happen, and things come to pass.
Yes, we praise you, God. Thank you, Lord.
Things come to pass.
Yes.
It is not a bad thing to be second.
Amen.
It is the position of power. It is that second position that facilitates and makes things happen. The father may set the law in the home, but it is the mother that facilitates.
Yeah.
Didn't your daddy tell you not to do that? And then you get a beating from mama, and then when daddy get home, you get another beating. Okay, that was just my house. Amen. And don't get caught doing something in the street. The neighbor beat you, then the mama beat you. Hallelujah.
Oh, goodness. It's crazy.
The father sets the law, but the mama, she facilitates.
Amen.
She's the facilitator. Get in this car. Get in that house.
Yeah.
Maybe I was raised like that. I don't know.
Brother, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Let me tell you a story. My mother, we were somewhere. She used to like to buy, like she would decorate the home with new stuff and used stuff. Like we would have nice new stuff, but she would also find used stuff at the Goodwill, and you never knew which was which, right? So we're in the Goodwill, I'm acting up. And she says, when I get home, I'm going to beat your butt. We got home, she forgot about it. I was like, ooh, okay. I kid you not, a month later,
Oh, my goodness.
we're seated at the dinner table because she prepared dinner, and you had to be at the dinner table at 6 p.m.
Wow.
We're seated at the table. She prays. We all have our head down. And she says, amen. And she looks up with one eye at me. And she says, I was supposed to beat you. She pulled me from the table a month later and beat me for what I did a month ago at Goodwill. I think God told her. Amen. But that's a mother. You know, disciplinary, facilitator. She don't forget nothing. Maybe for a month. But it was that strict discipline. And people say, oh, you shouldn't beat your kids or spank your kids. I came out okay. Amen.
Too, brother.
Maybe I didn't agree with her tactics, but at the same time, she was facilitating and she was rearing us up in the way that we should go. Until today, all of my sisters are successful. You know, God has me in his service. And I believe by God's grace, we turned out all right.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Praise God.
Amen.
Because I had a strong mother.
Yeah.
She did not care about how I felt about her discipline. She knew what she was doing.
Yeah.
She saw the end result.
Mm.
And she did what she knew she had to do.
Mm.
She was a praying mother. I saw and I observed my mother praying.
Mm-hmm.
This is key. Are your children seeing and hearing you pray?
Yes.
Where in my memory banks, I can go back and remember.
Yeah.
Will your child be able to remember,
Right.
I had a praying mother.
Yes.
I had an interceding mother.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when my mother laid hands on me and I was healed. Will your child be able to say these things?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you are gone,
Yeah.
they will remember.
That's right.
Amen.
They will remember their praying mother, their disciplinary mother, their strong mother. They will remember.
Mm.
Because you are the architect
Praise
of
God.
love for that child.
Mm.
You are the first contact that child has with love.
Mm.
Even in the womb,
Mm.
you are the first point of
That's
contact.
right. Yeah.
And that child will remember
That's right. Mm.
every moment of every kiss,
Mm.
every I love you.
Yes.
That child is
That's
going
right.
to remember.
That's right.
When you speak to that child while it's in your womb, speaking to it, reading the Bible,
Praise you, Father.
amen, that child will remember
Praise you.
as it grows and gets stronger. For you are the architect of love for that child.